Hi, this is Micornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions. Remember, we're restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God. And today we want to deal with immediate actions for consideration after you realize that God called you. Immediate actions that you need to do when you realize that God called you. And this is very important topic because we have seen many people that when God calls them, they start running. They start actually wanting to implement. They become restless. They become people that are agitated to start immediately and do the work because they are still having this feeling shut up their bodies and they feel this energy in them and they want to do everything at once immediately. And we want to just do justice to this topic and make sure that you are aligned with yourself and with God as well on what to do when God just called you and you realize that God has just called you. And this is very important topic, and I hope that it will help quite a few people in this regard. Now, the first thing that we advise as Church Governance Solutions is when you realize that God called you, relax and continue serving God in the same church where you are. Continue submitting. Continue being a servant of God. Because God calls you, remember, as a servant. He calls you to become a servant. So therefore, God calls you because you are serving already. So therefore, at this particular time, we want to advise you that you continue serving as you are. And if you can serve more, serve even more. But don't move from the church where you are and all of a sudden start pressing panicking buttons, want to start a ministry, want to do that and that. So please make sure that you relax and you continue serving the same way in the same church. Now, this is very important because also while you're serving in another church, you're basically practicing the principles of submission. And principle of submissions, of course, are very important because as called person yourself, you're going to need people to submit unto you as well. And you're going to need to continue submitting unto God as He's the one who called you as well. So the principles of submission are actually being practiced more better when you are serving under a local church. And I want to emphasize that when you are in a local church, it's the right platform for you to shape up your calling, for you to shape up what God has spoken to you, to shape up your work and prepare yourself for the calling of God in your life. But in the meantime, don't panic. Don't start rushing things. Don't start pushing things, but relax. And don't actually start agitating to leave or to be released in that particular church. No, relax, as I said right now, and make sure that you are continuing in the same service that you're continuing in this particular church. This is very, very important. Secondly, it is very important to acknowledge the need to have a mentor at this particular time. Because remember that many times we want to do things on our own. And many of us start saying, no, it's the Holy Spirit who called me, and He's the one who will guide me and lead me. It's God who called me, and therefore He will guide me Himself. And many people start actually sitting under this fallacy of saying, because God called you, then you don't need people. And that's fallacy. And that is a myth as well. And I want to emphasize that it's very important that at this particular point, that's where you need people the most. And that's very important because also always want to emphasize that you need to be having mentor all the time. But when you got a calling upon your life, that is where the mentor then become more relevant because that's the time where you're going to learn from people that have walked the path. You cannot start pushing mountains afresh while the same mountains have been pushed by people before. You cannot reinvent the wheel while there are other people that have walked the path already. Don't create a path in a place where other people have created a path anyway. So you could actually just make sure that you learn from those people and you get them on your side. And these are the people that you can make the mentors, that knows the in and outs of the ministry, that knows what the call is all about, and that knows how to articulate a call as well. That becomes very important that you learn from them. As I said, you cannot reinvent the wheel because the work of God has already been done. The visions and ministries have been actually articulated by many people before. So therefore, the very same people can actually give you the better advice. So please remember, there are those demons that others have conquered, and you cannot start fighting them again because they have conquered them for you as predecessors. So therefore, they can actually advise you on how to deal with those demons instead of fighting them afresh yourself. And this is very important. Mentor, therefore, is very important. Now, the element of mentor is very key in the sense that a mentor doesn't necessarily mean a person who's called in the line of your calling. So, in other words, if you're called to become a prophet, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need a prophet to mentor you. You may be mentored by a pastor in a church because this is a ministry, and a ministry of a prophet and a ministry of pastoral in administration should be the same. And both of them, they'll speak about aligning yourself with the word, praying more, and also character needed there. So all of them are the same. So therefore, you can actually be mentored by a pastor while you are called to become a prophet. And I thought, let me just clear that up because that brings a confusion to many. And many people think that then now because I'm called a prophet, I'm called to be a prophet, I must come out of this pastoral church. I must come out of this church that is led by a teacher and go to look for a prophet. You don't need to do that. And that's very key that we mentioned that a mentor can be somebody who is called in the ministry, but it may not necessarily be the ministry that you're called in either. So that's very key that we mentioned that. The other thing is ensure clarity of your calling, because many of us, we want to get going, we want to run with it, and we are not clear about it. We only realize that God called us, but some of us are not even clear about the vision that God has put upon you. Now, the calling of God needs clarity. So you need clarity of the vision, because if you are to run a vision, the vision must be clear to you. If you are to share it with other people, you need to be clear yourself, because this particular vision is not going to be able to be articulated and driven properly unless if you as an individual understand your vision. So please make sure that you got clarity of your vision. And this is where also a mentor steps in sometimes when you are not clear, whereby you can actually consult with your mentor, and your mentor can actually help you to make sense of this vision, to make sense of this calling, and maybe outline it for you based on experience that he or she has gone through, and maybe make sure that they can also rope in people, maybe that are called within the type of calling that are called in, and make sure that they align you and collaborate with them in a way that you learn exactly what to do. So clarity of the vision is very, very important. So you must be clear that you're called, number one. Number two, you must be clear about the vision that God called you into. And not only that, but also you need to be clear of the steps that you need to take, what you need to do from here on. Because if you're called, yes, so what? So what do you do then from here on? Which is very, very important for you to know. The other thing is you need to share your calling with your mentor, as I've said. So you need to let the mentor know what type of a calling. You need to let the mentor know in which line you're called in. And this is the reason why I say then the mentor can be able to help you where they can. And where they cannot, they can actually maybe outsource someone or consult someone who can be able to assist you directly, or maybe share the information with the mentor, and the mentor can be able to share with you as well. This is very important that you do share your calling with the mentor. You do clarify the calling with the mentor. And remember that your mentor could be as well your pastor in the local church where you're submitting in. And if you don't share it with them, they may not even be able to know when to release you. But if you share with them, they would actually help you in articulating this particular calling, and for you to mature in it, for you to prepare to an extent that you know what to do. And they can also provide you with a platform that you may be able to practice and prepare this particular calling. But besides that, you need at the point where they need to release you to have known in advance that you're called, and not just come overnight and say, Pastor, I've been called by God and I'm going. You can't expect the pastor to release you in such circumstances. So this is very important that we emphasize that. As we have said, we're restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God, and I hope you will actually be orderly in this regard. The other thing that's very important is you need to empower yourself in line with your calling. Empower yourself. Find out what can you do to develop and become more better. Please make sure that you know the skills that you need to develop, the talents that you need to develop, and an area that you might need to study or to read books about, an area that you might need to attend some seminars and trainings about. So therefore, you must empower yourself. And we always advise as Church Governance Solutions that every child of God must consider actually going to training colleges, whether it's a Bible school or a Bible college or theological school and so on. Very important that for the knowledge of the word and the preparation of the calling, you need to study to show yourself approved. We see Paul speaking to Timothy and say you need to study to show yourself approved, because that's very important that you develop yourself. Now, development of self is actually happening only when you know your deficiencies, when you know where you're lacking, when you know where you need to improve, your areas of development, because you need to know that. As you know that, then you will shape them accordingly. And also, you will align yourself with people that are specializing in that area that you want to develop in. And this is very important that you do make sure that you empower yourself in line with the calling that God has called you. You need to also not to rush to open a church, because there are many of you who really, because God called you, and before you even mature, before you even know how to run a ministry, before you even know what to go around or about ministries, you rush and you say you're opening a church. And that is why we're having a lot of churches that are opened by immature people, that are opened by people that have never found a time to mature themselves, to develop themselves. Now, as a result, we see a lot of mistakes, and many churches are actually diverting and being lured into deception, mainly because the poor leader is actually not knowledgeable and not matured at all. And people that will run a church with that character is purely because you are running and rushing to open a church just because God called you. We don't refuse that God called you, but you need to be developed first. You need to mature first before you go out there and open a church. And that is very important, that you don't rush to go and open a church. You need to be ready to submit. Very, very important, and submit at that particular time. We have articulated this very well, that in the beginning, that you need to submit in the same church where you're submitting. And sometimes if you are not stable in a certain church, you definitely need to find a church where you will be stable in the meantime and submit, because you must practice the principle of submission yourself if you're going to expect the people to submit unto you. And this is very important, that you know that submission is very key in the area of ministry. And you yourself should be a testimony of submission. Very, very important. And lastly, wait upon the Lord until you're ready to start. Now, many people ask us and say, how will I know I'm ready? You will know that you are ready when you are fully matured. You would know that you are ready when you have studied and showed yourself approved. You would know that you are ready when you know to answer simple questions of theology, when you are able to answer simple questions actually of administration of ministry and church church governance and leadership as well. When you are mature to an extent of ability to manage yourself, ability to develop you have got a character that you could actually hold, ability to manage people as well. So a lot of things around there that needs to be checked. If you have those, and you would actually start to realize that I'm ready to go. And we know that also your mentor can actually be handy here in the sense of advising you how ready you are based on how they observe you as well. This is very, very important. I want to end up here today, your host, Micornus Phokane. I'm the leader and the founder of Church Governance Solutions, and we are saying we're restoring godly order in the house of the orderly God. We want to refer you to our social media platforms. Our Facebook page is Church Governance Solutions. Like it, and the Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, that's my personal Facebook page. We post these videos for that sake, and I hope that you learn out of them. Our YouTube channel under Young Men Empowerment Forum. So please like our YouTube channel and subscribe, and make sure that you're part of a great work that we do. And there are a lot of many other materials and videos that were posted in the past. So please browse through those and learn from those as well. We've got a TikTok account under Micornus Phokane, and we want to urge you to share these platforms with your loved ones as well, with your friends, with people that you think they may gain out of this information. And we believe that you're going to join us tomorrow as we deal with another topic. And may the good Lord bless you. Allow me to check out right here and say cheers for now.